Hey, what up, AD? You're with Chris Paul. Welcome to Highland Park Bowl. I first came to Los Angeles December 2011. I've been here about 14 years. This is the only home that my kids have known, and at this point in my life, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. The reason we are here at Highland Park Bowl is because this has been a love of mine for majority of my life. My dad was in bowling leagues. So I spent a lot of my childhood in the bowling alley. That was a lot of our Tuesdays or Friday nights when my dad was in a bowling league. And so naturally, just like any other kid, me and my brother gravitated to bowling. This bowling alley here, Highland Park, what makes it so special and different is the authenticity. There are so many different bowling alleys now where you can go and it's the lights and it's all this different type of stuff, but it's just the rawness of this bowling alley here. It gives me a lot of thought of the bowling alley that I grew up with.
The history of this bowling alley, it's such a unique story. We have to go back to 1927. If you think about that era, it's the midst of Prohibition. There was a company called the Highland Park Drug Company, and they owned a couple pharmacies. And so they realized that there's a lucrative business selling prescription alcohol. So they come up with this crazy idea to build a space that they can put a pharmacy in to sell their alcohol, but also put doctors' offices upstairs where they could prescribe the alcohol, and then put a bowling alley in the back. So it's a one-stop shop for doctor, pharmacy, get your whiskey and go bowling. When I used to come here, when it was Mr. T's Bowl, starting in the late 80s through the 90s, it was just a live music venue and a bar. And it felt actually really small and dark because they had the ceiling drop down really low. They had a curtain that blocked all the bowling lanes, so you didn't really see that. And that was it. So I never knew how big and grand the space was until we really started digging into it to find how incredibly grand it is. The day that we came in to look at the space and do kind of our exploratory of what's behind all the remodels throughout the years, I started popping up ceiling panels. I could see this incredible wooden bow truss ceiling that was way up there. And as we started going behind curtains and walls, I could see this mural painted on the back wall of a forest. So it got me so super excited to tear all the years of remodeling away and get this space back to the way it was built in 1927. And that's what we inevitably did.
Being here in LA, you don't know who you're gonna see when you go to the bowling alley. I think a lot of times when I go bowling, people are surprised to see me there. I remember when I first started doing my bowling event, that's when I found out Nelly was a big bowler. You know, we had Lil Wayne in our bowling event. K Hart was in it one year. French Montana. You just realize that bowling really is a connector because there are a lot of people who have moved to LA from other places, just like me and my family. But what I've been able to do is you sort of find your community. You find your people. I think it's very nostalgic when you're in here. This ball return, which is amazing. You can actually see everything that's happening. When you go to most bowling alleys, there's a huge cover over this. I look at this and I'll be like, oh, this is where my great-granddad and my granddad them used to bowl.
The same time I discovered this mural, I see these incredible machines. And these machines were from 1948, which was the first year that the mechanical machine came out. Before that, it was human pin setters. Over the years since we've been open, I've met two guys that are now in their 80s who worked here as kids as human pin setters. So my first thought was we have to show off these machines and not cover them. We met with a bowling company, Brunswick, and we said, hey, can you restore these machines? They looked at the machines, they said, you know, these machines are so badly damaged and they've been robbed from parts over the years that you really can't restore these exact machines. But we have the exact machines, but in good shape, and we'll swap them out. As a designer, I never like to throw anything good and vintage away. So we pulled the 8 machines out before they put the new machines in, and we dismantled the machine. And I just started looking at the parts thinking, how can we reuse these parts? And so when you walk around the place, you see the chandeliers we made out of 4 pin setters. The wheels on the back wall were part of the machine that picked up the pins, and so we displayed those and motorized them. The shelving behind the bar was just kind of the framework of those machines. We're able to recycle pretty much every bit of the machine back into the space. Even the old pins, I took a bunch of the pins and I cut them in half, and then I hollowed out the bottom and I turned it upside down and made little table lamps out of them. You know, part of my mission in the hospitality industry has really just been to save as many of these great places as we can, save them for another generation, you know, pass on the torch of old LA, because old LA is so cool. Highland Park is a very old LA neighborhood. This building was Spanish Revival, although I didn't know that until we tore the facade off of it. Sometime, I would say, in the 60s or 70s, a lot of LA they would modernize the building. And so they covered the entire facade with like kind of a geometric metal panel. But we were able to find one incredible photo of the front of the space, the Highland Park Bowl, in the early 60s, before they had changed it. And you could see that it was a beautiful Spanish Revival space with arched windows upstairs. And so the decision was made to tear off that metal facade and bring it back to what it was. This is what LA is about. The good thing about LA is it always rebounds. It always comes back because we have so much to be thankful for here. I live in Altadena, and obviously, as many people know, that was one of the big fire areas. The fire was in my backyard. It had burned through the entire city, and our entire community was gone, and we're still just climbing out of the ashes.
How would I describe the spirit of Los Angeles? I would say resilient. In the time that I've been here, the city's been through a lot of different things, and as of late, it was the fires. So to see the way people come together, not caring where you're from, whether or not you're a transplant or whatnot, and I see the way that people really and truly care about each other, and whatever you need, they'll be there for you.
In the days after the fire, it was very community coming together a lot, figuring out what people need, finding it. We did a drive here for everything from food to blankets to whatever anyone wanted to drop off. I feel like everybody was doing that, you know. We're now 11 months after the fire, and that's still happening.
But one of the things that I noticed as I got older is that the bowling alley, it didn't have an age group. It didn't have a gender. It didn't have anything. Everyone was sort of just welcome in the bowling alley. And I think that's what I've always appreciated about it, is that it's a game that's a connector. It just allows me to relax and be with my people. When I go bowling, it's almost like I just get to be a kid all over again, right? And to have kids of my own and to see the way that they sort of gravitated towards bowling, and my wife, bowling for me is just sort of that getaway from everything else that's going on. In 14 years, what has LA come to mean to me? It's my second home. I have such an extended family here in LA that at this point in my life, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else.